Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kylars, and today I'm going to be playing against the hardest of opponents, an Easy Terran computer. And this Easy Terran computer is going to help me demonstrate in layman's terms, as easily as I can, a 4 warp gate push by a Protoss player. I'm going to try and play as best as I can. Well, within reason, whilst talking over the game. So, I've never done this before, so do bear with me. Apologies if everything gets terabad, and also apologies if my mineral gets a little bit high, but I do want to kind of pause and talk about some finer points to this game. Anyway, at this point you just want to be pumping out the probes, and at 9 supply you want to be bringing out this first probe in order to plant down a pylon. If you are going to plant this pylon closer to your nexus, you don't have to bring it down as early as I did just then, but if you want to place it at your entrance, you do need to bring it out as early as that. So at this point now, I'm just waiting for the pylon to create, and you want to start chrono boosting these probes. You want to queue up 2 probes, and then once those 2 probes are queued up, pubes are probed up? That's terrible English. Once these 2 probes are queued up, you want to send out this drone in order to plant down your first gateway. I'm not going to scout for the simple fact that it's a fucking Terran easy mode, so I can't be bothered. Anyway, at this point you just want to keep chrono boosting out these probes and setting some hotkeys. I like to have my nexus on 5, my warp gates on 4, and then my units on 1, 2, 3. Queuing up a lot of probes there. Anyway, at 15 supply, I do like to throw down an assimilator in order to get quite a bit of gas out, because for my 4 warp gate I like to go sentry heavy. Sentries are basically the caster unit of the warp gates, and are very useful against any kind of like melee units or anything like that, or any units in fact. When I'll show you later on. Anyway, so at this point I've thrown down an extra pylon and also make sure I don't get silocked, and I believe my gate is now finished. So I'm getting a bit sloppy with this. That's a wrong building. And what you want to do is you want to throw down your cybernetics core as soon as your gate finishes. Throwing 3 probes now into that assimilator, and you never want to really stop producing these probes. I'm going to get a zealot as well. So now I'm going to be throwing down a second assimilator. As I say, I do like to go a bit gas heavy with this kind of 4 warp gate, get a lot of sentries and stalkers. But as soon as this cybernetics core is finished, if you're against a Terran player, I would advise getting a Stalker out first, because they're going to have there is the potential for Reaper harass, and you always want to make sure you are prepared for a Reaper harass, otherwise it is going to shut down your game instantaneously. So I'm throwing another 3 probes into there, and I do need to throw down another pylon to make sure I don't get myself psylocked, and we do see this essentially Stalker coming out now. So this cybernetics core is now finished, and I'm going to be researching warp gates technology from that cybernetics core. I'll throwing down a few more gateways now. So you want to be throwing down an extra 3 gateways in order to make sure that you can bolster these forces here. So just waiting for my minerals to get a bit higher. There we go. And those 3 warp gates are now down. And what you want to be doing with your probes here at this point is getting 16 probes on minerals. This is the fundamental kind of probage for this 4 warp gate push, because you're going to be applying a lot of early pressure early on. So now I am getting a sentry. This is a nice mix of units to begin with, a zealot, a sentry and a stalker, in order to be able to kind of just fend off any early pushes that a Terran does do or something like that. So now I'm going to be chrono boosting out this warp gate technology. Very nice to chrono boost this out. And we do have all my warp gates finished at this point, so I'm going to be bringing out a few more zealots, I think, as well as a next pylon. You need to make sure that you don't get yourself silocked. I'm going to be throwing down a proxy pylon here as well, in order to warp in units once these warp gate technology is finished. I like to position this probe out here in order to make sure that I can see any incoming attacks. Going to be chrono boosting this again. I could have probably made a few more units from these gates before this had finished, but for the sake of argument it doesn't matter too much, because I'm talking over playing and it's horribly hard and annoying. So now my warp gate technology is finished. You want to go to all your gateways and press G, although I just clicked them because I'm a complete noob. And then at this point you can send your units out across the map, and you want to when you've researched your warp gates, you see this little tab appear down in the bottom corner after you've activated them all. What this allows you to do is basically warp in units in the fields of vision of any of these pylons, not vision, sorry, of power in any of these pylons. So you press W, and then you can press Z for Zealot, which will warp in a Zealot. You can press E for Sentry, which will warp in a Sentry, and S for Stalker, which will warp in a Stalker. So now that those are all out, you can keep reinforcing. What I like to do is I like to keep putting down more proxy pylons the closer I can get to my opponent. And you need to make sure, it's very important not to get yourself Psylocke. So my opponent has moved out here and I've trapped him with this force field. So you keep going up to your pylons, warping in units, rallying them down to your main force, and it's nice to have them on number 1 or whatever. Now I'm going to plant down a pylon at this part here, so I can warp in on the high ground when I do finally move up with these units. I'm not going to move in 2 yet because the computer's just going to GG and that sucks ass. But it's very important that when you're warping in these units, you normally, with a 4-gate, you do get 4 rounds of warp in. And every time you do warp in 4 units, it's very good to throw down an extra pylon, because those four warp-ins alone is going to consume 8 supplies worth of food. So it's very important to kind of just make sure that you do not get yourself Psylocked during this kind of early push of this 4 warp gate. So yeah, let's just run over the basics of it really. The basics are 16 probes on minerals, cybernetics core, research warp gate, 4 warp gates, very important, and I advise, once you've warped in some there, you can use this saved up chrono boost you've got here on these warp gates in order to make sure that their cooldown is even lower. So you've got loads of sentries and stalkers and everything like that, and you can push up the ramp. And generally against Terran players this is strong unless they've walled in and gone siege tanks. Against Zerg players this is extremely strong. 4 warp gate is strong in most cases. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If there's any details that I haven't gone over, and if there's anything that you need to know other than what I've outlined, please do just kind of leave it in the comments, throw me a message or whatever. Very important that, because if you don't learn anything without asking questions, then the computer does GG, and that is it. So I hope this has been educational for anybody who does need to know these things in simple terms. And I'll see you guys next time. I should add there are lots of variations of 4 warp gate. This is just kind of a standard 4 warp gate build. If you want to see more 4 warp gate builds, then you'll have to request it or something. So yeah, bye bye.
Yes, I'm so awesome, destroying the level 1 million stupid rubbish Terran. Ha 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 ha, you're rubbish, rubbish, look how my focus killing all your buildings.